down at very low temperatures, and the advantage is that then you can use any fuel like conventional kerosene. Another way that you can increase the power, and we also are going to do, is to use superconducting magnets. The best superconducting magnets are 10 times stronger than conventional magnets, and here there is the world record of any permanent magnet ever built, 17.7 Tesla from the University of Cambridge, 10 times stronger than conventional magnet. So I explain why superconductors. I will go fastly along the consortium. Actually, we'll not start strictly with the consortium, but with the advisory board, which are just, they're not really doing the research, but they are involved in giving some tips. We have Airbus, and we have also Siemens. Then going to the consortium, the coordinator, we are not the coordinators, we're just partners of this project. The coordinator is Oswald Elektromotoren, and it's a relatively small company, a lot of, let's say, medium company of around 180 employees, and they are producing high performance electric motors, and they are already experienced in superconducting motors. Another partner of the consortium is Rolls-Royce, which are making aircraft engines, conventional ones. Another partner is the University of Cambridge, who's making superconducting magnets. Another one is Demaco, who's specialized in cryostats, and they made the cryostat for the Atlas magnets in CERN. Air Liquide is also important because they have experience in cryocoolers for aerospace. Superox is providing superconducting tape. I will just go shortly. Karlsruhe Institute of Technology is one of the major research centers in Germany. It's a complex of 2 kilometers long and 1 kilometer wide. The other one is a local university of Aschaffenburg, which is experienced in inverters for motors. Then is a small partner, which is also important, which is a management company. Right? If your management company is a partner, it helps you a lot because they are in charge of the details with the EU bureaucracy, which is not easy. And of course, we are there, right? We will do some computer modeling and stator characterization. I will talk a bit more about our role and why we are in this project. What we are going to do is electromagnetic modeling of the superconducting stator. This is actually a previous motor. It's not the one we're going to do, just to show you some example. And the big picture you can see, you could make it with some commercial software like ANSYS, but it's much more complicated to get what happens inside the superconductor, and that's what is important for us. I will go to some technical issues, but I will be brief on that. Superconductors are highly nonlinear, so they have a highly nonlinear resistivity. Below certain current density, they don't have resistivity. Above, they have. In some parts, you have this current which is above the critical current. There is energy loss, and why is important? The energy loss reduces efficiency. We want to make highly efficient motors, and even worse, it produces heating in something that has to be extremely cold. So we have to have that really under control. We're using our own code. Why our own code, which is programmed in C++? It's because it's faster than commercial, it's optimized for parallel computing, and we are using already some computer clusters of the Academy, and we plan to use the supercomputer Aurel. We could use other supercomputers. And we don't pay licenses. For single computers, they are not so expensive, but if you want to run on a supercomputer, the licenses are quite considerable. I'm filled over eyes to explain what we do. I just want to give you the message that we don't just make our own code, we make our own maths, right? So our own numerical method. Here on top you see what are the partial differential equations, electromagnetic differential equations, time dependent. And we have seen that solving that is the same as solving this functional. And and everything has its own meaning. I will not explain the details, they are in these articles that we published. And well, that's the method. And what is it good for? In the 90s, people was very happy to be able to find the nonlinear eddy currents in these superconductors that cause the losses. We made one world record that is 100 tapes. This is the order of magnitude of turns then superconducting stator has. It was very important at the time. Recently, we made another world record that we modeled up to 10,000 tapes. That's for different kind of problem for magnets, but we are there in the world leadership. And you can use that for industrial applications. We got a subcontract from Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand, who they made a three-phase transformer, and they wanted to know how much will be the losses of that. We made the calculations, some magnetic field lines, and some details on how are the eddy currents. And these are those graphs there. And we have seen that this corresponds with their measurements, so this modeling is reliable. You can use it to design real machines. Well, this I was talking a bit about myself. Now we're going to talk about you, right? About your future Horizon 2020 project. We are just partners. We're not coordinators, so maybe we cannot give so many advices, but at least we can give you some advice. So there has to be a good consortium, right? So there has to be a balanced proportion of industry and academy, maybe a bit better that there is more industry than academy. There should not be overlapping, that's very important, and every partner should have this particular task and expertise. Let's say some lab tests, computer modeling, sample preparation, whatever. If there are two that have the same expertise, then you have to really divide very different tasks. Then, if you want to join as partner, it's our case, you should be a good partner. What does it mean? Well, let's imagine the coordinator asks who I know that could do that task, right? So the first step. And then you should ask to yourself why they should contact you, right? And not somebody else. Well, one option is because you are the only one in the world who can do that, so that it's the best and the easiest. Or, maybe more practical sometimes, you are in a long-term collaboration with a coordinator or a very important partner. So when somebody tells you, oh, how do you know who can do that? Oh, well, we're already working with somebody who does this. Maybe there are other channels. This is, let's say, maybe the main channel we have done in our institute. We have several Horizon 2020 projects. I have to say all of them as partner. Then, what you need to do? You have to be highly specialized, right? Don't do 10 things at the same time. 1 or 2 things, no more, right? You have to be a world reader in a narrow field, better than doing many things. You have to start collaborations with important labs who already have Horizon 2020 projects. That, of course, helps you a lot because they have already experience. In order to achieve that, what do you need? You need to get well known. So you have to make presentations in the best conferences worldwide. Of course, make a good presentation is very important, right? So you feel you have to learn on that. Maybe you can contact some professional who will teach you. And sometimes it's maybe better to go to a conference, the best conference in the world, as a modest poster, than having a big, very important invited talk in a not very good conference. You also have to publish regularly in most read journals, better if it's high impact factor, but at least people have to know about you. And if you're a company, maybe can help you to have some exhibitor in conferences, it's not really necessary. And the most important, always do a reliable job, so they know that they can trust you, because if you don't do the task in the project, it's a problem for everybody. Then if you want to create a project as coordinator, you have people who can give you better advices than me, but I will try to do my best. So you should have already your own public funding research projects, right? Because if you just want to make such a huge leap to be the coordinator, you should have some experience on that. Structural funds could be good sometimes, but it's not enough. They should be more competitive. All future partners need to know you well so they can trust you. And it's not strictly necessary, but it helps that you can contract a company to do the management. So you don't need to take care of all the tiny details, they'll help you on that. Anyway, the scientific background is yours and of your partners, and you take the decisions and you lead the research, right? So the management is just the management. For the project progress, if you have never worked, I will tell you more or less how it is. So you have a collaborative project. Keep that in mind. You're not competing with the others, right? It's a collaborative project. So be collaborative. Constructive attitude is always the best. It doesn't mean that a project which there are some rivalities or some not so much constructive attitude will not be successful, but it always helps a lot. So you only have to focus on solving your technical issue, not intriguing or whatever. For the project progress, you are regularly making tasks for the other partners, and you should share them. There should be some face-to-face meetings between 2 and 4 times a year, depends on the project. Or as well, some telco meetings or teleconference meetings, could be from 1 to 4 a month. In our case, we're making only 2 face-to-face meetings and quite many telco meetings. I was not very happy at the beginning, but then I have seen that if you make more telcos, these face-to-face meetings, you don't need to make them so often. And as well, you take the main decisions there, right? So you discuss all the small technical details in these telcos, and in the face-to-face, you just go to the big problems. There is, of course, some reporting to the European Commission. You have some annual reports, which is about the research and also financial. You have many deliverables. They are usually reports, but they could also be samples, prototype, database, whatever. There are some milestones, which are intermediate goals of the project to check the progress. And there is a midterm report. This is very important. The midterm report is a meeting between the European Commission officer and the coordinator, and optionally, they could be the most important partners. But that is what the officer has to decide. There is a go or no-go decision for the officer, right? Usually you have to do it quite bad, not to have a no-go, but it could happen, and it happened sometimes. So you really need to do the work, right? So it's not just about writing reports and whatever, you have to do the work. And with that, I hope that I will give you some advice on how to make your project, and I wish that your new project will take off soon. Thank you for your attention.